Good evening. It is April 19th, Sunday night, and it's that time of the week again. This has been, I would call it a good news, bad news week. That's how I would characterize it. And let's go in order. I don't think I could. Too much has happened. So I had been in contact with NCG Cinema, which I think is a regional chain. I've mentioned them before. And it had all been by email, which has its pros and cons, of course. But the bottom line is, right when I was getting ready to sign on the dotted line for having two shows, one on a Thursday and one the following Thursday, I read the fine print and it had escaped my notice the first time, and or I didn't understand that this minimum applied to a different series of shows. So basically, if you rent the theater in the morning for $700 for 2 hours for like a big business group or something, then you do that, blah, blah, blah. If you rent it in the afternoon, what I understood was that you pay $10 per seat, no matter how many people you get there, and then you get a pop and a popcorn. But what I didn't realize till I was ready to sign is that you also have to pay that same $700, which would effectively make, depending if how many people you had, that would make the seats basically $20 each. And my plan was to charge $15 for the ticket. And so I didn't sign it, and I read it and I went back and forth, and she explained where it was, and I realized that it was mostly my mistake. She could have pointed that out. I wish she would have. So we were literally that close, and it got scrubbed, and that was too bad. So I had been talking to our local theater, which is independent, and so that sort of pushed me along that way. And so all that up to here is bad news. The good news is that I booked our Williamston Sun Theater for a Sunday, May 17th show at 2 o'clock, and have had some pretty good interest. I posted on the local community Facebook page and just my general page, and then whatever. And so between the free people who are the cast and crew and the people whose houses we used, I mean, we don't have a lot signed up. We've got, I don't know, 10. It doesn't sound like much now that I say it out loud. But anyways, pretty good feedback, or anyways, activity. And so again, if we can get 100 people in there, even if half of them are paid, I don't know, I wouldn't really break even, but well, I've come pretty close, I guess. So I'm hoping for 100 plus, hoping for 150 in a really good day. And so because the NCG didn't work out, I ended up communicating with the Sun Theater, no relation, in Grand Ledge, which is a city about 25, 30 miles to the west of Williamston. And they have a much smaller theater, in particular the screen. I don't know if that I've ever been in there, but I saw some pictures of it, and oh my gosh, the screen is small. It's maybe 16 feet wide, if that. Yeah, it's small, but it's for the west side, and I think a lot of people may want to see it over there. And wow, now my camera's out of focus. There we go. So tomorrow morning I've got to call and confirm that. So that'll be Tuesday, May 19th at 5:30, the matinee, which I think will be good for some people. So both of those are good news. What else is bad news? The bad news is I can't put the poster up at the movie theaters because it's like a four-wall rental, and they can't really help me with marketing. So that's a bummer. So I've got posters with nowhere to put them up. I've got like flyers that I've made to put up for Williamston. And I don't know if I'll have a chance to put them up at the Grand Ledge one. I just thought of that. Maybe I should. Ooh, maybe I should. So I got to figure that out. I got to print some of those, and my home printer just ran out of color ink. So there's more bad news. I guess it's not really bad news. Maybe it is. The audio, oh my gosh. So right now, let's switch over to pick and pick mode. So these are the dialogue tracks, these orange ones, and then the pink one is ambience, and then we've got sound effects, we've got music, and then we got more ambience down there. And so, as I've explained, you've got this thing called voice isolation, which basically, if you turn it on 100, you will hear absolutely nothing but the voice, and even then, it'll sound very processed. And when you got 0, it doesn't take anything away. So somewhere in this 5 to 15 to 20 sweet spot, you still get a little bit of the ambience, the room tone, even though they're outside, you could still consider it room tone. And so I thought I had it set pretty well, because then when you put in like birds or frogs or crickets or the wind or whatever for outside, and then you put room tone for inside, when I listen back to it on these speakers, these little dinky speakers on the computer, it sounds pretty good. But when you listen to it like on the Quest without headphones, and then I was listening to it on our big, not big, but 55-inch TV with a sound bar, you can't hardly hear the room tone at all, and it doesn't sound that good. So I don't know. Yes, between yesterday and today, it's probably been another 10 hours cumulative of working on mostly the sound. I also have got some final little tweaks, but I got to get this done because I have to deliver these DCP files to the theaters. At least it sounds like 2 weeks in advance, because they've got to get them in and ingest them in their system and then see if they work and make sure they work. And I've been reading up on DCPs. I've watched a few tutorials, and some people make it look pretty easy and other people make it look pretty hard. One thing you've got to do is make a 5.1 audio track. And so now you've got all these separate things. So you've got to pan them and blah, blah, blah. You got to assign them to speakers. And what is this? Oh, shoot. So that is just work. And when you've never done it before, the odds that you're going to do it right the first time are probably pretty slim. So it's, I guess, like I said, it's not really bad news. It's just work that you have to do. And it's just, it kind of wears on you, if you can tell. And then I also, unfortunately, I had my tooth, which had like a tiny chip out of the back, and I ate some toast or something at some point today, some garlic toast with my spaghetti, which in retrospect I shouldn't have done. But anyways, it got chipped a little more. So at some point I've got to go to the dentist. Nothing to do with micro budget filmmaking, but there you are. The music we're still kind of playing with. I think we're getting close. We have to be getting close. So back to the DCP. My goal is by next weekend, or this coming weekend, to have it all done so I can deliver it, because I'm going out of town the following weekend, and then it would only be 2 weeks when I get back, or even a little bit less. So I feel like I got to get that done, so you feel some pressure. And when you've come this far and you've worked 6 months on post-production, I feel like the sound audio is, it's such an art, and I am not an artist. I'm probably, being the jack of all trades, I don't know what my best trade would be, but I don't know what my worst trade would be. But probably in a scale of 1 to 10, probably some things I would probably be an 8 or 9. Some things I would maybe be a 4 or 5, 6. And you really can't afford that. But speaking of I can't afford to hire anyone, because I don't know any idea what, someone would probably charge $85 to $100 an hour, and it would take, I don't know how many hours. I know how many hours I've spent, and you don't want to know, but it's been a lot. So that is the week. So next Sunday I'll be here. The following Sunday I won't. So maybe I'll make it on the Monday afterwards. We'll see how we are coming. Yeah, it is a lot of work. 9 o'clock on a Sunday, and I worked, I don't know. Oh, it doesn't matter. Because the funny thing is, in the end, it doesn't matter how long you worked on it. If the movie's good, it's good. If the movie's bad, it's bad. a lot of movies, I'm sure you work the same amount of time and they turn out totally different. So that's enough for tonight. I will cut it off there, and maybe another hour I'll cut myself off and hit the sack. So go make a movie yourself. Tell me how it went. And if you are in mid Michigan, consider seeing Act Break May 17th, 2 o'clock, Williamston, Michigan. See ya.